Alright, hello everybody. So welcome to a nice little video I'm doing on how to build a gaming computer for under 300 bucks. I'll have a decent range. What I paid for mine was $342. What you could pay for yours is $237. At $237 it's not going to be great. It would be more around the lines of $280 to still have a decent one that's able to game. But for under $300 we can do this. So the first things we're going to look at is what I got. So here's my case. I got a Thermaltake Core V21. That was 57 bucks. You can save big time on that. I'll show you where you can save on everything. But first we're going to just go through what I have. So there's my case. I got the Western Digital 1TB hard drive. This you're not really going to be able to save on. I got a Corsair CX430M because it's the modular power supply, so it makes cable management and stuff like that a lot easier. I have 8 gigabytes of Kingston HyperX, the TP-Link wireless adapter. Here is my motherboard, Gigabyte FM2 Plus A68H, and then the processor, the A8-7600. So I'll show you where you can save on all these things. All those added up may come to $342 total. I'll start with the things that you'll most likely want to switch up. So you'll most likely not want to pay 60 bucks for the case. Here is a decent gaming case right here that's only 30 bucks. So that's going to save you $27 from what I paid, and that'll bring you down to $315. Here's a power supply that's not modular, so that's going to make cable management a little tougher, but it'll still be doable, and that'll save you 19 bucks. So then you're already at 296, so we're under 300 now. You're not going to need 8 gigs of RAM. I'm using it because I like to video edit and use Photoshop and stuff like that. But if you want to save another 15, here is an 8 gigabyte kit for $20, actually $19. And you can always find stuff on Craigslist too. That saves money sometimes also. The Wi-Fi adapter I bought was, what was it, 20 bucks? Yeah, that was 20. And so here's a Wi-Fi adapter right here for $8. So that's going to save you another 12. And so then you're down from 281 to 260. I can't do that math in my head. I don't have that written down. I did this backwards. But that's going to save you another $12 there if you buy just a little Wi-Fi adapter like this. And then finally the processor. You're most likely not going to want to downgrade on this. This one is actually going to save you 32 bucks if you get this dual core processor instead. This one is going to have 2 processing cores and 2 graphics cores. The processor I got for 77 has 4 regular CPU cores and then 6 graphics cores. So this thing games really well. I can play Skyrim on high settings on a 1280 by 1024 monitor. I haven't tried it on my regular monitor yet, but still high settings, and it plays very smooth, 40 to 50 FPS. But if you do want to save any money, if you got all of these cheaper parts, it would come down to $237. So, I mean, you can downgrade wherever you want, but it will be at $296 if you just downgrade for the case and the power supply. And keep in mind, these things are always going to change. I'm making this the end of April of 2016, so prices may go up, prices may go down, and there's always other stuff out there. You can do your research. But if you want to save on the case, the power supply, the RAM, the Wi-Fi, or the processor, here are ways to do that. So for under $300, if you just substitute these 2 parts for the one I bought, and I will go ahead and give you guys a link. I'll substitute these 2 parts right here, so it'll be just under $300. It might be a little over with tax and stuff like that, and in that case, you can substitute some of these parts if you would like. But I will have a link in the description to an Amazon wish list of the full computer, everything you need. I'll probably use this Wi-Fi adapter instead of the one that I bought too. Here's the one that I bought, which you install in the computer for an extra 12 bucks. But I will probably include this one, and you guys will just be able to put that in your cart on Amazon, buy it, maybe find it cheaper on Newegg or something. And once you guys get the parts, we can move on to the second part of the video, which is coming up. So if you guys have any questions on building or anything like that, please go ahead and let me know. I'll do my best to help you guys, and I hope you enjoy the video. Alright guys, so it's been quite a while since I've made a video. I'm running on like 10 minutes of sleep today. I just got back from camping, so we got a very exciting video today. So we got the new computer for under 300 bucks. And so now we are coming to building, which is the fun part. So let's get to it. We have the Thermaltake here. So here we have 8 gigs of HyperX DDR3. So we got our RAM here. I decided to go with 8 gigs. 4 will suffice if all you're doing is gaming, and especially if you're just doing like Minecraft and League and stuff like that. If you're going to be doing a lot of editing and like Photoshop and stuff like that, I would recommend at least 8 if not 16. Next we got the Wi-Fi adapter. I have a TP-Link PCI one, a 300. And there's what the Wi-Fi card looks like. Next up, we got the processor. So I got the A8-7600. This is going to be the quad-core processor with, I believe, 6 GPU cores. So if you want to go gaming, you might get the dual-core, just get a nice graphics card rather than this. But I am planning on just using this and no graphics card, and I'm going to see how this games. So that's going to be pretty exciting. A whole gaming rig, well, sort of gaming, low-end gaming rig, without any graphics card. So I'm excited to see how this thing does. But of course, if you do add a graphics card, it's going to game amazing. And they do have some that you can utilize the graphics on this and the graphics on the card at the same time. Like I believe the R9 290s or R6 something, some shit like that. A good old Western Digital 1 terabyte. This thing's going to hold everything I need and it's going to do just fine. I trust Western Digital. They make great hard drives. Now on the power supply, I did go with the modular, which again is a little bit more expensive. But with a case like this, you need a modular power supply. Otherwise, cable management is just going to be completely impossible. Oh man, new power supplies always smell so good. Ah, you guys smell that? And then finally we have our motherboard here. So there's the motherboard right there. Gigabyte, GA, bunch of letters and numbers there. Alright, so we are back. And as you can probably tell, it's another day. Why is it another day? I ordered the wrong case. So anyways, here's the MATX case, not the ITX case, the V21. Now we will jump right into the building. I've done this a few times before, but I honestly don't really know what I'm doing. Computer building is not that hard. It's basically Legos for adults. That's something that I've heard before that I like. So, doesn't go that way, so let's try it go this way. And there we go. Boom. Snap it in there. And you've got your I/O shield in. Easy as that. And now we're going to go ahead and line these up. And you're supposed to kind of angle it, I think. Yep, so kind of slid in there a little bit. And it's not perfect, but I just got to push it in and screw the things. So I angled it down like that and slid these things, slid the ports back here through the I/O shield. And so now I just got to push it in a little bit like that and then put the screws down, and it's lining up perfectly fine here. Alright, so this particular motherboard and case setup is actually going to need me to use a couple of standoffs. I think just one, but here are your motherboard standoffs. They come with the case, and I need to use this bolt, or this slot right here for my motherboard, not this one. I guess some MATX boards are going to use this, and some are going to use this. So, what I have to do is just slide this in here. All the other spots are already stood off, as you can see. So I'm just going to take a look here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's going to be the only standoff I need. And now I will go ahead and slide it back in here. It's a little nerve-wracking messing with the motherboard for your first time, but they're not as fragile as you might think, so that doesn't mean just go scratching it all over the place, but just don't worry too much about it. Just be careful and take your time, and don't force anything that doesn't feel like it's right. It says it's supposed to come with all this stuff, and I read it, and it really doesn't have all that stuff. Like 9 of this and 4 of this. There's supposed to be 9 motherboard screws, and there wasn't 9 of anything in there. So what I'm doing, I had this little bag of motherboard screws from just stuff that I've worked on in the past, and I'm just using these. This right here is pretty much what a motherboard screw looks like. Right there. And so with the motherboard, it is, I don't even remember what kind of material it is. Fiberglass, I want to say. So you don't want to screw it really tight. You just want to screw it enough that it's sturdy. Like, that's moving a little bit. Yeah, see, these are good where I use my screws, but this is the screw that I used that came with it. And yeah, that didn't even go in. I can just pull it out right here. Alright, so yeah, that's much more sturdy there. You don't want to tighten it down real hard. Just get it nice and hand tight so it stays in there. So I did the 3 on the right, and now I'm going to go ahead and do the 3 on the left. Alright, the second scariest part is done. First or second for some people, maybe. So now we have the motherboard in. Oh, I'm sorry. I already put the RAM in. It's pretty simple. These two tabs to release it. You just look at which side is bigger for DDR3 RAM, put it in the slots, and just push down on it with both sides at the same time, and let it clip into place. Don't shove it down super hard, just push down until it clips into place, and then you'll be good. Alright, so now for the processor. Sorry for the noisy video, my camera's not great in low light. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and loosen that up so that we can put the processor in. You got the arrow at the top right side, you can see. And then I'm going to look at the socket here and find the arrow, which is over here at the top left. Turn it around and be very, very careful not to bend the sockets on here. And I'm just going to drop it into place. That's the most important thing. Don't force it in, just drop it into place. If it doesn't feel like it dropped into there, don't push this lever down because it probably didn't. Just let it drop into place, don't push it in at all, and then lock it down. Alright, sorry about that. My batteries are all at like 0% right now, but I'm not sure how far that got, but really, all it is, pour some alcohol on a rag, clean off the bottom of the fan, get it nice and clean there. That still looks a little dirty. There we go. And clean off the top of the processor. Make sure there's no finger grease or anything like that on it. They dry fairly quickly, so I'm just going to watch it, make sure that it looks nice and dry. There's lots of different ways of doing this. You can go all around, or you can just do one glob in the middle. That's the way that I do it personally. So I'm just going to go ahead and take this, do a fairly small glob in the middle. Not going to just cover it, but not going to put nothing on there. And now, I'm not sure how to do this yet, so we'll figure out as we go. So that fits right in between the two brackets. And if you bought an aftermarket cooler, this is going to be irrelevant to you. There's these little pieces on the outside right here that I'm just trying to make the silver piece go around. Had to push down fairly hard, but not too hard that it felt like I was breaking anything. And then I'm going to flip that, and then it's locked into place. And then we're all done. So it's very tight. It's a little scary when you're doing it. It feels kind of like you might be breaking something, but as long as you're not pushing down really, really hard, processors are pretty good about not breaking and stuff like that. So now what we want to do is find the CPU fan, which is right here on this motherboard. It says CPU fan right there on it. So we're going to plug that in. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this around somewhere if I can for a little bit of cable management. And there we go. So the fan is spinning just fine. This isn't interrupting that or anything. And the cable's not going everywhere. So we have our motherboard in, we have our processor in, and we have our RAM in. All the hard stuff is done now. And next we will get on to the power supply, hard drives, peripherals, all that fun stuff, and we are almost going to finish up here pretty soon. Alright, so power supply is next. I'm going to go ahead and take off the bottom panel. Fan goes on the bottom. Only put the fan on the top if... Okay, I'll explain air cooling real quick. So this big fan on the front of the case is going to pull air in this way, and then it's going to push it out the top. So your power supply is going to go like this, and this is a pull fan, so it's going to pull air in from the bottom and push it out the back of the power supply, these grates right here. And then that's going to keep pushing air this way, along with your rear fans on your case going to push air out the back too. So you want this on the bottom. The only time you'd ever want this on the top, pulling hot air from the case to cool the power supply, is if you have your case sitting on carpet, which you should never do. So pretty much always going to have this fan on the bottom here. I'll put that stuff up here into the case and slide the power supply in. It's pretty obvious where it goes here. I'm going to go ahead and line up the holes and go ahead and screw it in, and that's all there is to it with the power supply. I always like to do opposite corners first just to get it into place as quickly as possible. Alright, now that we got the power supply in, we'll go ahead and do the hard drive. So with this particular case, we have the 3.5-inch drives over here and the 2.5-inch drives down here. You could also put 2.5s on the 3.5s, but you can't put 3.5s on the 2.5s. Logic. So I'm going to put my 3.5-inch drive, probably, I'll just go with the middle one. There's these little side ones right here that popped in there. You can't really tell very well in the video, but right here and right here, they just kind of popped into the hard drive, and it's in there good right now. So I'm not even going to take my screws and screw them into these two spots here. I'm just going to slide it in there. This is a toolless bay, which is very nice. And then that just pops right into place. So we have the hard drive in now, not plugged in just yet, but we're ready. Now I'll go ahead and plug in the motherboard power and the CPU power down here from the power supply. So what I did was I just wrapped it around there coming out of the power supply, and you're gonna have to push a little hard on this one, but it will click into place. And so that is all good to go. And then we have our CPU power right here, which on this particular motherboard is only a 4-pin, so I'll pull these apart. I don't need both of them. I'm just gonna take them all the way apart so that I can tuck this other one down away. Alright, so now that is plugged in up there. I'm just gonna kind of tuck everything down here for now, and we'll cable manage later. Now we'll get the hard drive plugged in. So we have some SATA cables that came with the motherboard here. SATA 0 and 1. You're gonna want to do 0. And so the 90-degree went right in there, and then I'll bring this down to the hard drive. So that's going to be the data cable. The SATA cable is the data cable. And now we're going to need a power cable as well. And so the power cable from our SATA hard drives looks pretty similar. Looks just like the SATA, but a little bit longer. And so that is going to go into the hard drive. And then the other end is going to go into the power supply where we get our power. So now we have our hard drive in, our power supply, RAM, processor. It is almost all done here. Obviously I'll have to go through some cable management. I won't bore you guys with that stuff. And we're going to install Wi-Fi card here. So I'm going to go ahead and see which one of these slots it's going to take up. It is going to be that one in the middle. Go ahead and take that out and then replace it with this. And then take that same screw I just took out and put it back in. Very simple. Like I said earlier, this is pretty much all just Legos, honestly. It's not really super hard to figure out what goes where, but it's just a little nerve-wracking at first, which is why it's nice to watch a video while you do it. So the last things, we have our front panel stuff here. So we're going to have, here's a case fan that's going to be plugged into, you should see system fan 1 and 2 or 3 or however many you have on here. So I'm going to go ahead and plug this into the motherboard where I see system fan 1. There's our first thing. These are just pretty much all the things that come with the case now. So you have these front USBs to plug in, which I don't have a USB 3.0 on this motherboard. So I'm just going to tuck that down with the rest of the cables. And then we have our HD audio here for these two front audio ports, which you guys can't even see. There we go. So right here we have our USB 3.0 and then front audio ports and stuff like that. And so I'm going to plug in the audio over here. It's labeled F audio on the farthest to the left. So that's what you're going to want to use there. There's one missing. Just line up the one pin that's missing. Very easy. Again, push it down. Boom, you're done. And then finally we have all this stuff. So this is going to be your reset switch, power switch, hard drive LEDs, and that is it. Power LEDs also. So you're going to go ahead and look here. This has it labeled. It is labeled right here. It says, you can't see it on there, but power LED on the top left, power wire, positive and negative. So that's going to be your regular power switch. Hard drive, which is your hard drive LED, reset switch. I'm going to go ahead and plug these in now. Alright, so now all that stuff is wired up. That is as easy as it could possibly be. Everything hard is already done for you. So it's all wired up. I'm going to go ahead and plug it in, and I'll just show you guys it turns on real quick. Alright, moment of truth coming up here. So, everything's all in. I got the keyboard and mouse hooked up. Another thing to think about with this is this motherboard that I got, it only has HDMI and VGA, which is good because I need HDMI and VGA for this monitor and my main monitor. But if you need something else, think about, finding adapters, choosing a motherboard based on not only that, but I think I already talked about this, but with the USB 3.0. So here's the USB 3.0 for the top of the case. I don't know if you can see that down there. Yeah, you can. So I can't plug that in, so I can't use these USB 3s. I can use the two USB 3s on the back of the motherboard, on the back of the case, but I can't use these. I could get a USB 3.0 adapter card and plug it into this PCI slot down here, but if I got a graphics card, that wouldn't be able to fit and all that kind of stuff. So just look into it, do your research on what you're buying and make decisions based on that. But we have our Windows 7 install drive here. Everything is hooked up. So I'm going to start by turning it on and going into BIOS and seeing what we got here. So let's hope we get graphics. We do. That's good. It's going to be probably F12 or delete. BIOS is delete, it said. So I'm just going to go ahead and look at everything. We got total memory size, 8 gigabytes of memory. CPU is up at 50 degrees right now, which is pretty warm, but it generally runs pretty hot in the BIOS. I'll check it out again once we get into Windows. But what I'm going to do is go back. I think it's at F10 for boot menu. So I'm going to go ahead and exit here. Everything looks fine. So I gotta just watch here and see which one says boot menu. F12. Alright, so I got SanDisk here. Now hopefully Windows should work. Yep, Windows is loading files. So again, I won't bore you guys with this stuff, but I'm going to go ahead and install Windows 7. Hopefully do a free upgrade to Windows 10. Shh, don't tell anybody. And then we'll see how this goes. So what you guys are looking at here, I'm just going to show you real quick what I talked about earlier, how I upgraded to Windows 10 for free. So what I did was I installed 7. I just torrented a Windows 7 setup file kind of thing and put it on a flash drive. And I installed Windows 7 off the flash drive and I did all the updates. I did not run remove wat. I did not do anything like that. I just installed all the updates and then it gives you this. So without even validating Windows, it lets you get the free upgrade to Windows 10. So just install Windows 7, do all the updates, and then you can get 10 for free. I'm not sure how long this is going to last, but do it as soon as possible. Alright, so here we are for the final portion of the video. We were 30 to 40 FPS watching that. How the fuck do I sprint? There we go. We were 30 to 40 FPS while I was just watching it. This looks really bad. I'm not sure why. Why does it look so bad? Oh, hello. That looks fine. Okay. This is a really weird monitor to play on. It is a little bit laggy. Around 20 FPS. I'm sorry I can't show you guys my settings. I'll show you a screenshot, I guess, before the video. Okay, I'm supposed to be following this guy. I'm trying to talk and pay attention at the same time. So we're on high settings right now. So this processor slash graphics processor, whatever you want to call it, it is not amazing. And that's to be expected. It's an $80 little thing. I mean, you can spend $500 on a graphics card itself, and this is just a processor. So we're on high right now, and we're getting about 20 FPS, depending on where I'm looking, between 20 and 30. 20 here looking at the fire, 30 looking over here, 35, 40. By the way, when I just turned off fraps, it went from 30 straight to 60, and the game plays super, super well without fraps on.
You need your hands free.
Yeah, I was just like running around and stuff like that, and it's staying at 29 to 30 with fraps on, but about 40 to 50 with no fraps. So keep that in mind. It's actually going to play on high settings just fine. So actually this processor is pretty amazing for the price. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. We went over buying parts, building the computer, and what the computer can do here. I mean, it does a good job, a good gaming computer for under $300. I spent $350 on mine, but you do not need to spend that much. Like I went over on the case, on the power supply, a bunch of things. You didn't need to buy an expensive Wi-Fi card, stuff like that. So you can definitely do it for under $300, and it will play games decently with this processor on low to medium settings. Skyrim is also a fairly graphics intense game, so other games that aren't so graphics intense, you may be able to play on high settings. All in all, definitely worth the money for around $300. It's a great machine, just definitely worth it for 300 bucks. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you liked it or disliked it or anything else that you would like to see. I'll still be posting a little bit of things on this channel, mostly on my other channel, though, Steve's Ride-In, where I go moto vlogging. You should go check that out. So yeah, that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, all that kind of shit, and I'll see you in the next one.